Yeah, live. Hi there. Yeah, I'm live. Hold on. I know. I gotta get water. I'm almost done with my coffee, and I forgot I should have got water before I started the live stream. So hold on a second. Phone chargings and water. My mind is sometimes like a bag of cats. You know? It's just all over the place. So here we are, August the 3rd. Yeah, August, man. This year, it just seems to go. Really does. So much has happened in this last year. So much has not happened in this last year, but that's beside the point. Yeah. So let's see. What are the main things going on in my life? Not a lot. The heat wave here, that's really been like, July was horrible in terms of heat. It was just constantly oppressive. And I want to say this is really like the first year I've been here in Pennsylvania where we've really had like a hugely oppressive summer. I mean, it's just been ridiculous. And today I believe it's going to get into the mid 80s. I don't know. I'm checking the weather. Let me check the weather. Yeah, it's going to get about 85. Tomorrow it's going to be 90. Yeah, I was like, it's breaking. And I'm looking at the weather, and it's like 90 next week, 88 on Monday, 89 on Thursday, 84 on Wednesday, which is. But yeah, right now it's 71. It's going to be 85 today. But it does look like the trend is it's getting more into the 80s, which, oh, geez, I could use that. But yeah, it's just been like oppressively hot. I did a function yesterday where I was outside, and I was outside for just like, what, a couple of hours at the most. So when I got home, I had to take a shower because I just felt grimy all over. And I don't mean shower. I mean, I actually took a bath, but I felt grimy all over just from being outside. And I wasn't even sweating that much, and we were staying in shadow as much as possible, and still just felt like, oh my God. And every time you'd walk into a building where there was AC blasting, it was lovely. So, yeah, I'm not a big fan of summer, and I really love the attitude of a lot of people who will go through like a harsh winter. And it never fails. They're all like, I want winter to be over. I want winter to be over. And we did have what a lot of people said was a long winter. A lot of people were bitching in like August about how cold it was. And they were doing that well into May. And of course, a month later, it's 90 fucking degrees outside. And it's like that every day. So what's everyone doing now? They're bitching about the temperatures. It's like, you're complaining about this shit constantly. And it's not like anyone wasn't warned that one of the effects of climate change was going to be extreme changes in the yearly climate. I mean, nowadays, we really don't have fall and spring like we used to. Because I can remember, long periods in the beginning of the year where it was like in the upper 60s, low 70s all the time before it really got hot. And the same way at the end of the year, when you'd come out of summer and then going into September and October, you were getting back down into the 70s and into the 60s, and then you'd get those 50-degree nights and stuff like that. Now it seems like that period is, I mean, we're getting like 80-degree temperatures still at the beginning of October, which is not fall to me. We don't get that. I don't remember what year it was, but we had one particularly really weird spring. I was living in South Haven, Indiana, and I moved there in 85, and I lived there until 92. So it was sometime in the mid 80s. I want to say probably like 86 or so. When woke up one day and it was like 65 degrees in the middle of February. And I can actually remember like mowing my lawn as, not long after all the snow had melted because it felt so nice outside. And that was one of the things that you would go from when you'd get that big change like that. You'd actually be outside. And even though like 63 degrees is kind of chilly in a way, if you're outside, most people are walking around with a jacket on. If you immediately go from like, it was 25 degrees the day before, and then the next day it's like 60 degrees, it's an enormous temperature change. And that's how it felt. We went from like low 30s to low 60s overnight. And so you're walking around outside because it's a 30-degree change in temperature, and I've got like a t-shirt on. And you don't think about, well, normally this is considered chilly, but it felt so good. And it stayed like that until about the end of April. It was all 60s and 70-degree temperatures through the rest of February, through March, and through April. And it just stayed like that the rest until, about May, it started creeping up into the upper 70s, low 80s, and then that was it. And then we had the other extreme opposite. 1988 in the Midwest was probably one of the most brutal years I ever went through. We had an extremely cold winter. In fact, during the entire month of February, I don't believe, I'd have to go back and check the historical weather, but I remember from personal feeling, it rarely got above 5 to 10 degrees above zero the entire time. I mean, every morning you'd get up and it was below zero. And you'd go into work. And at that time, I was working at Playboy. So I had to walk 13 blocks from the train station to get to the office. And every day was like 1 degrees, 0 degrees, -1. And you're catching that north wind coming right into your face. I would be all bundled up. About the only skin you would see exposed was around my eyes. And that was because of my glasses. I would have my wool hat pulled on. I had like a ski mask pulled over the lower part of my face. I had my jacket up. I had the hood over. I had ski gloves. I had ski gloves on. I covered as much as my body as I could. And I always laughed at these guys who were just walking around with no hat, no gloves. It's like, yeah, you guys go ahead. You suffer frostbite. So for like the entire month of February, it was like that. Every night it was getting down to like 10 below zero. And during the day, if you were lucky, it would get up to like 10 above. Most of the time I was hovering between 0 and 5. And then we got out of that. And then June 28th, it was the start of Chicago Fest. I believe it was June 28th. It was a Friday. That was the first day we hit 90 degrees in Chicago, in the Chicago area. And it stayed that way for 40 consecutive days. We had 40 consecutive days of 90 degrees or above. Technically, it was the worst heat wave we've ever had in the Chicago area. 40 consecutive days of 90 plus temperatures. We had 11 consecutive days in that period. We had 11 consecutive days of 100 plus temperatures and 13 total days of above 100 degrees. And again, I was walking to work at Playboy, 13 blocks. Oh, God, that was brutal. That was really brutal. In that time, 512 people died in Chicago from the heat. Most of them were senior citizens who didn't have air conditioning in their houses. And then they think the death toll might have actually been higher because of homeless people. No one really was tracking too hard how many homeless people actually died from that. So the death toll could have actually been just a little higher. But yeah, 512 official in that 40-day period, heat-related deaths. And other people would be like out mowing their lawn, at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and stuff. When it's like 100 degrees outside. I think I mowed my lawn like twice that entire time. And I had an electric lawnmower, so it didn't make a lot of noise. And both times I mowed the lawn because it was starting to get just a little long, and our homeowners association always used to bitch. I was never really big on mowing lawn. I'm one of those people who's like, I don't give a shit how long the grass gets. And for a while, I think I mowed it at the very beginning and I mowed it near the end. The stretch in the middle, my wife kept going out and watering the lawn. I'm like, why are you watering the lawn? Well, I don't want it to turn brown and die. I don't give a fuck. Don't water the lawn. Who gives a shit? What happened? What did that lawn do before people came along? Seriously, that's the way I looked at it. It's like, what did the lawn do before people came along? It got brown and died. But the thing with grass is it doesn't really die. It just goes dormant and then it comes back. It's like, I don't give a fuck. Just let it go. And she wouldn't let it go. So every time I would mow the lawn, it was either like early, I think both times. It was the one time I did it, it was like early in the morning. I mean, the sun was just coming up. It was like magic hour outside. And I'm like, I'm going out to mow the lawn. And she's going, it's like, it's not even 6 o'clock in the morning. I go, it's 80 degrees outside. I'm mowing the fucking lawn. I'm going to do it before the sun's up. And it turns into, it turns into hell out there. And the other time, it was like after sunset and it was starting to cool. So I went out and mowed the lawn. And at that time, we had a big lawn. It took me about 45 minutes to mow everything. And she's like, it's getting dark. I was like, I don't care. It's cooling off outside. I'm going to go out and mow the lawn. So. Yeah, we had no rain. It was brutal. It was like really, 1988 was just brutal as hell. That was 31 years ago, That was really the worst year I can remember for climate in Indiana. And then, once I moved to Valparaiso, we'd get lake effect snow. That was a charmer too. There was a period once where we were getting like every other day an inch of snow. I got so tired of shoveling a driveway. I did. It just, oh man, it was just effed up. I'm outside at like 7, 8 o'clock at night shoveling my driveway because if I don't, there's going to be 2.5 inches of snow in my driveway come morning. Oh man. I don't miss that. I really don't. I don't miss that at all. I don't miss not mowing a lawn. I don't miss mowing my lawn. I don't miss shoveling my driveway. There were a couple of times that was a lot of fun. I remember my daughter one time, and she was probably about 7 years old, made a huge snow fort in our front yard because there was so much snow. It had piled up on the side from me shoveling off the driveway. That she just made this like huge snow fort. She was just tunneled down into it, and it had this big cavity in there where she could go in. And it was all frozen and stuff, so you didn't have to worry about it collapsing. But of course, my wife, she was like, "It's gonna collapse, and she's gonna die," you know. Oh Jesus! Whereas when I was a kid, we used to do the same thing, and no one worried about the snow fort collapsing and us suffocating to death and dying. It's because I don't know, we were weird. I never worried about that shit. Anyway. Nothing on the job front. Still looking. Haven't heard from my headhunters that I had lunch with last week. And I don't think I will. I think they're kind of like, so. Someone told me I should start looking at retail. And I don't really want to work retail because I've never worked retail. But I think at this point I may not have a choice. I've never worked anything. I mean, when I was a kid, I worked stuff. But I mean, for the longest time, I've never worked anything but office work. So, I don't know. It's really depressing me. I did pay my rent for this month, so I'm good. But right now, I have about $300 to my name. I think I have about $300 to my name. It's right around $300. It's either just below $300 or right at $300. Because after I paid rent, I had $333 left, and I bought gas last night. That was $21, and I had to pay for parking. That was $5. So, yeah, I'm right around $300 for the month. Yeah. So, hey, help out a struggling girl if you can, please. I would appreciate it. September is going to be something completely different because I'm not going to have a freaking dime to my name come September. So it was like I was telling one of my teammates last night, I'm kind of gearing up for the whole, well, I may spend the end of September and October living in my car. And I joke about that shit, but it's like, it's a possibility. So may come up. And like I said, I'm just going to drive. If that happens, I'm just going to gather up as much shit as I can take with me. Head down to Lancaster. I know I can shower and clean up at the women's YWCA. I know places where I can eat cheaply. And, hope for the best. That's it. I ain't heard nothing from Social Security. I just got my paperwork. I have to fill out the paperwork for my disability, but they're saying even at best that could take 4 to 6 months to come through. So I don't know. Just tired. I'm just tired of it all. It's gotten to where I've really kind of just given up on all of it. What it is what it is. Maybe if I'm living in my car, it'll give me more time just to spend money on buying lottery tickets and maybe hitting a big lottery and claiming millions of dollars. Cash that check, put it in a bank account. Just retire. I look at it this way, though. If I'm living in my car, it's real hard to come after me to get money. Yeah, the banks are going to go, well, we're looking for this person at this last address. She was evicted. Oh, where's she living now? We have no idea. So, but thanks to Lynette, she did help me considerably. She has been helping me considerably this year, and I appreciate her help. She's been going beyond considerable in helping me out. And she helped me cover my car insurance, which is good for another 4 months. So I appreciate that. But I was all prepared to just drive around without any insurance because I'm that sort of person. And I did do something like I was looking at Geico and Progressive because they always tell you could save more money with those guys. I think I have to go back and take a look at them because their 6-month rate was probably about 60% less than what I pay now. I mean, not 60%, about 40% less. I have to go back and take a look at them. I know Progressive's rate for 6 months was like $247. Right now, I'm paying like $300 and oh God, how much am I paying? About $374 every 6 months, and I think Progressive was $246. So yeah, that'd be a savings of $128. So I think, and that's basically for the same coverage. So I'm thinking when auto insurance time rolls around next time, I'm probably going to look at like Progressive or Geico because State Farm's just like eating me alive. I can't afford it anymore. And I look at it this way. That's $128 in my pocket. So looking at doing that. Should have done that a while ago. Not much in writing. That, now that I'm between recaps, I'm not doing any writing. Was out looking. My story on Wattpad has been getting a little bit more coverage. I'm up to 253 readings, which is pretty good. Not bad. I'm still trying to think of stuff to write, and I keep coming up with ideas, but I just can't get into writing. Some of it's the depression. I just start coming up with I want to write this story, and then my mind is like, no one's going to read it. No one's going to care. No one wants to deal with your shit. So, it's that never-ending cycle of what you want to do versus what your brain is telling you should do. And even though your brain is telling you, don't do this, there's another part of your brain that's telling you, if you start on this story, you're never going to finish it. In fact, you'll probably get a few hundred words into the first chapter, and that's it. You're done. That's what happened with my last mermaid story that I was going to write for Mermaid. I got about 250, 300 words into the story, and I just went, fuck it. I don't feel it. It's not going anywhere. So I didn't write a story for Mermaid. Son of a bitch. Do my best. I try. I really do. I really do try. But I just can't seem to pull that trigger anymore. I used to love writing. I used to love it. And now it's like, it's gotten away from me again. It'll come back, I think. I hope. Still, there's shit out there I want to tell, but it seems like no one listens. So what's the point? Mostly and I was even telling a friend, again, one of my teammates last night, it's like, yeah, I write for Monsters and Critics, but I don't really write the sort of stuff they want. It's really a problem. I see most of the articles are talking about like stuff that's happening on The Bachelorette or stuff that's happening over on this reality program and this reality program. It's like, I don't write that shit. I don't watch it to begin with. I would cut off my arm before I would watch The Bachelorette. Now, if it was a lesbian Bachelorette, maybe. But this whole heteronormative, it's a girl fighting for like 30 guys. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a shit. Make it the lesbian Bachelorette. I'll watch it. Maybe. But, I'm sick of the heteronormative stuff. I mean, I realize most people are heteronormative. And I don't hate you for it. I don't. Most of my friends are hetero. I have hetero friends. It's funny to say that. It really is. It's like, yes, most of my friends are hetero. And they are. It's just the odds. What are you going to do? It's the odds that most of your friends are going to be hetero. But I'm so tired of seeing that shit on TV. I really am. I'm going to be quite honest. Every time there's like an LGBT relationship, I kind of perk up. Even when it's dudes. And I'm not into dudes. I admit it. But even seeing like two gay dudes, having a normal relationship on TV, it's like, wow, they're speaking to me because that could be me with another woman. And then they die. Or one of them dies. Kill your gays. One of the biggest tropes, the two biggest tropes are kill your gays and bury your lesbians, which is a trope that basically says in any form of entertainment, writing, movies, television, comic books, if there is a same-sex relationship, it won't be long before one or both of those people die. And it does happen. There are numerous places where you can look this up. TVtropes.com is probably the best. They have a long list of all the bury the gays and kill your gays and bury your lesbian tropes, of which The Walking Dead is like the worst. So far, they've had two LGBT couples on The Walking Dead, and we know now there's one LGBT person, or LGBT. She could be bisexual. We don't know. On Fear the Walking Dead, and in the instance of The Walking Dead, the gay couple, one of the dudes died, which was something that happened in the comic. The guy was in a committed relationship with his partner. The partner died and became a zombie, and they had to put him down. But he started up a relationship with another dude, a well-known character that was in the comic. And when the last issue of The Walking Dead was printed just last month, at the beginning of July, it was established that they were still together. There was a comment made and even a small panel shown that after 20 or 30 years into the future, they were still together. They were still committed as a couple. Fantastic. On the TV show, what happened? The other dude that the gay dude was supposed to get together with, he died. Big shock. He died. Now the other gay dude is still alive, but for how long, And the lesbian couple, which was Denise and Tara, well, let me see. Can you guess where this one is going? Now, in the comic, Denise was actually a hetero woman, and she was married to another character, and she died saving his life. He had a leg blown off by a grenade, and she had actually been bit by a zombie. So her choice was they could have cut off her arm to try to save her, which is really popular in the Walking Dead universe. We'll just chop your hand off or chop your leg off, some shit like that. And she had a choice between getting her arm cut off. I think they were going to cut off the lower part of her. No, the upper. They were going to cut off her whole arm. Or she could save her husband's leg. And she chose to save her husband's leg, knowing the infection was going to kill her. And it did. And they had to put her down. In the TV show, she got into a relationship with Tara, who was the only lesbian who survived the apocalypse. And of course, Denise caught a crossbow bolt through the eye, which was actually Abraham's death in the comic. And then Tara got her head cut off, which she was never in the comic, but she ended up dying too, which pissed me off to no end. But they also showed after a 6-year jump in time that she had not gotten back into any kind of committed relationship, probably because if you're a lesbian in the zombie apocalypse, your dating choices are like real low. I mean, seriously. If they're low for me, and we're not in the zombie apocalypse, they're low for her. But eventually she died. Now, there is another gay couple. Yumiko and, God, I can't remember the other woman's name. Magna and Yumiko. And Yumiko is a lesbian, and Magna is, I believe she was bisexual. Which was one of the reasons why it took a while for their relationship in the comic to develop, was because Yumiko was, she was macking on Magna, and but she didn't know if she was going to respond. And in the comic, in the last issue of The Walking Dead, it showed that their relationship is still ongoing. So I'm expecting one of them to die in season 10, or both of them to die. Who knows? The Walking Dead, they're really bad about that. And in some of my past recaps, I have called them out on that one. I have called them out on how it's really shitty that they have killed these characters off. Now, I understand. Some of the actors, they want to move on. And like the actress who played Denise, she had said she had only been signed for a year-long contract. So she knew she was going to die before the end of the season. But it's still, God damn, it hurts. Now, I know a lot of people go, well, the hetero characters die. Yeah, they do. But there's all these hetero characters. You have like dozen hetero characters who, yeah, they have a life together before one of them dies. And then these poor LGBT people, we get to see like this little window of happiness, and then it just goes. It's just a little window A little one. It just goes. It's like, holy fuck. Just give us something. And now on Fear the Walking Dead, we know one of the female characters, one of the women, is at least bisexual. I think she's a lesbian because she's never really talked about her life. So I think she's actually a lesbian. And the moment I saw her kissing another woman, I'm like, okay, how long before she dies? Because they're going to kill her before the end of the season. It's just the way my mind goes. The first thing I'm like, yeah. And the episode was really well done because I'm sitting there watching it. And it was a character study. I will say that's one thing that Fear the Walking Dead really does well, is they've had some great character study episodes. And I'm watching it and I'm going, oh, come on, you two, just kiss and get it over with. Because you can tell. I'm sitting there feeling it. I'm going like, the vibe is there, guys. You two are definitely like pinging on each other hard. And then you do figure out that at one point in the show, though they didn't show it, they probably had sex with each other. They probably did. I'm going to say they did. But yeah, and then when they kissed at the end of the episode, I was like, yeah, finally. Yeah, finally. I knew it was coming. And then immediately after that, I'm like, yeah, but she's going to die by the end of the season. They're going to kill her. And Fear has gotten to that point where now there are a lot of characters, which means a few of them need to go. They will go. They probably will. They'll probably kill off a couple of characters before the end of the season. I'm anticipating it because that's just how it goes. It goes up and it goes up and it goes up, and then all of a sudden it's like that we need to get rid of some of these characters. So much fun. But yeah, bury your gay, kill your gays, bury your lesbians. The other one that's really a big trope is fridging the woman. Whenever you hear somebody say she got fridged, women in refrigerators. And it goes back to an infamous Green Lantern comic where they killed the Green Lantern's girlfriend and stuffed her in a refrigerator for him to find. And fridging is a comment that's like, you kill a woman who is an important part of another guy's life so that you can further his story with this whole new plot line of angsty bullshit because of him dealing with her death. And so fridging has, a lot of people will point that out. And it's usually an instance where the woman has played kind of an ancillary role to the main character. And she's almost coming into her own, and then they just kill her off. And the only reason she's there is to eventually die so that the dude can have, major character building. And they usually die in rather horrific ways. Like getting stuffed in refrigerators or having their heads cut off or being blown up in a car. Shit like that. Fridging. Yeah. And Walking Dead has done that as well. But a lot of that comes from the comic. You can't blame the TV show for that one. Or can you? But yeah, you can usually tell when someone's getting fridged. They're just there as kind of an ornament, and then they die. So the dude can have this like huge angsty character building moment. It's ridiculous. Yeah. Women deserve better. We do. So I have been watching some movies. I've been watching a lot of movies. I watched French Connection again the other night, which I love, even though it's a dude fest from hell, but still I love it. And then yesterday I watched Jupiter Ascending and The King of New York, two completely separate movies. King of New York was with Christopher Walken, and it is a really gritty, grimy ass movie from the 1980s, all about really bad people dealing drugs. It's a great film. It's on Amazon Prime, and it's a great film. But I mean, nobody in this movie has any redeeming characteristics. they're all violent as hell and scumbags. They really are. Even the cops. The cops are all dirty. The cops that are shown in the movie they're dirty ass cops. They really are. It was New York in the 1980s. Go figure. But it's just worth it for Christopher Walken, who has some great lines, some great delivery, and it's all about a former drug kingpin who had to go away to prison. When he comes back, he's trying to get back into the business. Well, everything's moved on since he was in prison, so getting back into the business requires a certain amount of bloodletting. But it's funny to watch it because you had it was like one of Wesley Snipes' first big roles, and they even said he was living in his car at the time the movie was being made. Really, he would like park his car just off the set and was living in his car. David Caruso convinced the director. It was actually one of David Caruso's first big movies as well. He played an Irish cop. Go figure. And he convinced the director to hire Wesley Snipes. Lawrence Fishburne was in it, a young Lawrence Fishburne. So young that he's listed in the credits as Larry Fishburne, which was how they used to list him back in the day when he was first starting out. It was Larry Fishburne. That's going back. Now it's Lawrence, but yeah, back then it was Larry Fishburne, and he plays a punk ass hoodlum. Giancarlo Esposito, it was also one of his first movie roles. And if you don't recognize that name, Giancarlo Esposito, he has been around for a while. He's better known to some of us as Gus Fring from both Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. The meth kingpin who runs Los Polos Hermanos. That's his front. That's how he launders his money. But yeah, it was one of his first roles too. And he was a punk. He was a gangster. They're all gangsters and thugs in the movie. When the film came out, the director and somebody else, they said during the first showing at a festival, about half the people got up and walked out and just said, "This is like a completely irredeemable film." There's nothing good about it. And then during a Q&A and another showing, him and one of the actors actually got booed off the stage. And people were saying, you should be donating like all the money from this film to drug rehab centers. But I still like it. It's still, I mean, it's so different than all the gangster films they used to make back in the 30s and 40s. And during the 80s in New York, coke was the big thing. You had, Italian mobs, you had Colombian mobs, you had Jamaican mobs, you had Chinese mobs. They were all over the fucking place. So it's a good movie to watch. Just if you want to get an idea for how gritty and shitty New York was at that point. And that's one of the things I love when you go back and you look at those old movies like that. And they film in areas of New York where It was really, really, really nasty. Yeah, you get a feeling for what the city was like then, which was not good. It's like when you watch The French Connection and they're filming the final parts of it on Ward's Island. If you go out on Google Maps and you figure out where they were filming those final scenes, it's all parkland now. You know, at the time they filmed that in 1969 or early 1970, it was shit. It was all crappy area. And then it wasn't long after that, probably about 20 years later, they bulldozed it all. They tore it all down. It's all now parkland. It's all parks and baseball diamonds and stuff like that. It's all been revitalized. So you don't even see that anymore. That's a part of New York that is completely gone. French Connection is also really interesting in that there's one scene, if you watch real closely, you can see the construction of Tower 1 of the World Trade Center. Yeah, it's only for like 5 seconds. And if you don't know what you're looking at, you'll miss it. But you can actually see it being constructed in the background. That's how far back they went. And then the other movie, Jupiter Ascending. Oh my God. It's Wachowski's. It was like, and I've joked about this, I had actually seen it before, a long time ago. I caught it like second run in the theaters. And I do like just about anything the Wachowskis put out. I'm sorry, I do. I like their shit. I support the girls. They're sisters who speak to me. What can I say? And I like how back in the early days when they were doing The Matrix, they were the Wachowski brothers, but now they're just the Wachowskis. And I guess that's their decision. And you hear people call them the siblings. Nobody calls them the sisters. I do. I call them the Wachowski sisters because they are. You know? Lana and Lena. Oh, gotta love them. Two girls from Chicago. Gotta love us. You gotta love us Chicago area girls, okay? But anyway, as I've described Jupiter Ascending on a couple of occasions, it's sort of like a role-playing adventure I would have ran had someone given me like, here's $200 million. Film your role-playing adventure. It is cheesy as hell. It really is. It's super cheesy. There's stuff in it that's almost cringeworthy. And yet you just go with it and have fun. It really is. And most people I know, they have the reaction of they just completely hate it or they love it. And I love it. It's so over the top ridiculous in some ways. And yet you just go, wow, this is really kind of cool. I wish I could do this. This is what I would do. It actually has a bit of a Warhammer 40K feeling to it. When you look at the ships and stuff like that, they do have, a lot of them have this Warhammer 40K, which is, if you know the role-playing game, Warhammer 40K, it's really a role-playing / combat game. And you see the ships, you instantly like, oh, that's one of their ships. You know, it really is. They're all like huge and gothic and all this other shit. And it does have this entirely gothic feel on everything. And there's also, you'll recognize like 3 actors right away who were in Sense8. I did. You know, I was like, oh yeah, I know her. Yeah, I know him too. And they have appeared, a couple of them have appeared in other Wachowski films. So it's like part of their set. But they later showed up in Sense8. Wow, that was hard to figure out where they got the idea to use those guys. I just love it. It's a fun movie. If you want a bit of ridiculousness in your life, it's on Netflix. And if you want a bit of ridiculousness in your life, watch it. Eddie Redmayne, before he won his Oscar, before he did The Danish Girl. Ah, God. He doesn't just choose scenery, he devours entire systems. He has two emotes. One is he talks like this throughout the entire film, not showing any emotion, just speaking in a real low voice. And then he screams. He screams out all the other dialogue. There is no in between with this dude. He's either like super chilled to the max, or he's just screaming at people like a bitch. And that is the one thing I will tell you. If you watch this movie, unless you have a really, really, really good sound system, crank the damn sound up and put the subtitles on. Because I do. I have trouble hearing it. Everybody is speaking at such a low level throughout the movie. For the most part, I do have trouble hearing what's going on. So I cranked my TV like almost all the way up to the max and put the subtitles on so I could follow it. I had that problem when I was in the theater that you can barely hear what anyone's saying. So my advice, crank it up, listen. But yeah, watch it. It's fun. It's a fun film. It's not meant to be taken seriously. I don't think the Wachowskis took it seriously when they were filming it. Although they said there was one sequence, and you'll know what it is. It's a chase sequence in Chicago. And it took them like 6 months to film it. Probably because it's super effects laden. It's almost all special effects. But they said it did really take like 6 months to film it. Holy shit. Girls. Women, we want to get that shit right. Yeah, we do. And I do remember they ended up actually pushing the film back to get a lot of the effects work done because it would have come out looking shitty. The effects work in it is really good. Yeah, super cheese. But it's a good cheese. It's not like Kraft Singles. It's like brie, you know? It's that kind of cheese. Yeah. And, surprisingly, last but not least, I'm going to talk about Derby, and it has not taken up the majority of this conversation. Here we are in 50. I just crossed 53 minutes, and I've been talking about lack of money, TV tropes, and movies. Yeah. There you go. Been having fun with that. So Derby. Monday started home team season. I was there for that. I was there Sunday as well. Sunday was my first 27.5 in like almost 3 months. And I missed it by 25 feet. I was the only one. There were 5 of us who did our 27.5. And I was the only one that didn't get mine. Yeah, I know. I felt bad. But I missed it by like 25 feet. I swear to God. It was like 25, 30 feet when time was called. Which means I was like a second and a half away from the finish line when time was called. So I did it like 5:01.5, 5:01.7, something like that. It's one thing to finish it like half a lap short. You kind of understand. But when you're only a second away from that finish line and they call it, oh my God. That was the second time that's happened to me. Yeah, this is the second time that's happened to me. And you're just like, oh, Jesus. I was only a second off. And when you run that past 27 laps of skating, you're like, I was about I was like a half of a tenth of a second short every lap. It's some ridiculous ass number. It really is. But I didn't beat myself up over it. So Monday we went in and we started on home team practice. We did a lot of drills. And it felt like, we've been taking it leisurely during the summer for practice. This actually felt like we were back in practice. Same thing we did Wednesday night. We did jammer drills and stuff on Monday. We did blocking drills. We did the same thing Wednesday night. Wednesday night, we did by far the strangest 27.5 I've ever done. We broke up into 4 groups of 3 people. So that's how many people we had. We had 12 people there. So we broke up into 3 groups of 12 people, and you each started on one of the lines, either a jammer or pivot line. We have 2 of them on both stretches. And your first requirement was you had to skate 6 laps in a minute or less. And if you didn't, then you had to do strength. And the clock stopped as soon as the slowest skater crossed the line. The coach stopped the clock whenever the last skater crossed the line. Give you one guess who one of the skaters was. Yeah, it was. Sorry, I can't help it. But we do the first one, and you're sprinting. I mean, you're just like flat out skating as fast as you can. And it's hot. It was probably in the 80s in the Dutch oven that night, easily. So the first time we do it, it was a minute 4 seconds. And since I was like one of the last people, I may have either been the last or one of the last people. It was probably in a tie for one of my teammates. Minute 4 seconds in 6 laps, which is something a year ago. Oh no, hell no, I couldn't have done that. So we had to do push-ups. I don't remember. I think I ended up doing like 5 push-ups. I think we were supposed to do 1 push-up for every set. Or you were supposed to do 5 or 6 push-ups. I don't remember. I think I did 5. And then we had to go out and do it again. And it was the same thing, 6 laps in a minute or less. So we go out and we sprint around. I come back. And it was a minute 6 this time. So we had to do 30 seconds of squats. Your legs are burning by this time. So now you're holding a squat for 30 seconds. That hurts. And then it was like, okay, go back out again. This time it's 5 laps in a minute or less. And we did that in 54 seconds. So we didn't have to do strength. But I'm starting to see where we're going with this, because 6 and 6 is 12 and 5 is 17. And if you're going for 27 laps, that means 2 sets of 5 will get you there. And I begin to see that that's really where we were going with this. So since we weren't doing strength, we come back to the center, and our coach is like, automatically, tell me something you want to work on. Tell me something you want to work on. She went around the line, and it was like, tell me something you want to work on. And you had to answer right away. So after we did that, it was like, get on the line, 5 laps under a minute. And we did it again in 54 seconds, which again was something I couldn't do. I can remember barely. Oh, hold on. It just skipped. It was something I couldn't do. It was 5 laps in under a minute. I can remember barely. I couldn't even do 5.4 laps in under a minute, which is 5.4 laps in a minute is what you have to do for 27.5 time. And it was like taking me to go 5.4 laps. It was like taking me 5 minutes and 10 seconds. And I was really pissed off about that. I can remember almost quitting Derby at that point. And now I was doing it in 54 seconds because I know I was like one of the last people to come across the line. So we did it in 54 seconds again. And then we come to the center and the coach is like, tell me something exciting that happened to you this year. All the way around the line, you had to come up with something real quick. And then the last one, it was again 5 laps under a minute, and we did it in 55 seconds then. So if you're keeping track of time, she even said when we went back out, we were at 2 minutes and 10 seconds total add up time. And then we were at she said, if you do it in a minute, it'll be 3 minutes and 10 seconds. And that was also, you could see it was going toward, we were going to skate 27 laps. So if you add up all the time that I've given you, it come out to like 4:54 total. And it was actually harder to do 27 laps that way because when you normally do it, you start once and you just keep going. So there's no stopping and starting to get to your 27.5. And starting is not always easy. And I was starting on the entrance to a turn, which is even harder because you do lose seconds trying to get up to speed. So in reality, if we had done that as a group, just skating all out like we were, I probably would have done my 27.5 if I would have been able to maintain that pace in something like 4 minutes and 52 seconds, which would have easily been 27 3/4 laps. I've done 27 and a half. My first one was a 27 and a half lap. And then since then, I've not been able to get to 27 and a half laps again. But her point was that she was actually making it harder for us to do a 27.5 because you're having to start 5 separate times. And of course, that means you got to get up to speed to sprint. And then you come to the center and you're either doing strength or toward the end, you're having to come up with something really, really, really fast to show that you still have your mental acuity. You're not so exhausted that you can't even think. And the importance for that is if you're in a bout and it's the later stages of the game, you don't want to be so exhausted that you can't think. You don't want to be so exhausted that you're blanking on everything and you're forgetting stuff. You're forgetting to move. You're forgetting to cover this line. You're forgetting to rotate up. I did that in a couple of the practices. I even apologized to people because I said I was brain farting. I would forget to do stuff. And that's what this exercise was all about. It was all about, showing you're giving 100% and you're still keeping your wits about you while you're doing it. Because as we've been told before, not all your massive cardio takes place at the start of the game. It can be like that throughout the entire bout. So it was a good exercise. And I mean, it did prove we could do a 27.5. I came home the night I did, I was off by 1 second, and I said, it means that when I got to do this Monday, because we are getting reassessed on Monday, and I probably will have to do a 27.5. There's no probably about it. I will have to do one. It'll count. I know what to do. I know how fast to go. I'll get that 27.5. I can. That's the thing. I said couple of weeks ago, I said in front of Dash, I doubt very much if I could do a 27.5 right now. And she just looked at me. She's like, don't say that. That's not true. You could do one. And yeah, I can. I'm not worried about it. Our assessment this time is not going to be as tough as it was when we did travel team assessment. This is more like, are you skating safely? Can you do some of this stuff? But we've already been told, this is a good opportunity that if you want to play different positions, I want to be a jammer full time. which I don't. But I may want to play a pivot. I could have the opportunity to do it. I did say that one of the things I wanted to do based on my last scrimmage was, of course, I want to be in a pack all the time. I don't want to be one of the alternates. And I want to take more of a commanding role. I want to be one of the people who you can count on, or one of the people who's always track aware and is calling everybody together to make certain we're blocking properly. It's going to be interesting. I'll be there Monday night to do my assessment, and then Wednesday we have a scrimmage. There's one tot. It's actually her scrimmage assessment. So once she's assessed, and she will pass, we already told her, you're going to pass, don't worry. She will be allowed to assess for the home team. They may even do the assessment on her if she shows up Monday. But she'll probably make the home team. So, yay. Yay for her. And if that happens, that's the last of our last top class to get through. Yeah. No more tots until October. We don't have recruitment until the recruitment happens. Recruitment starts the week after our bout. I believe it's the 18th and 19th, and the 22nd is recruitment for us of September. So 18th, 19th, and 22nd is recruitment. And the first day, and then you take like that week off, and then probably the first tot practice of the fall will be October the 2nd, because my first day was October the 3rd. And so the new tots that get recruited in September will start in October, and it's 14 weeks. And I need to contact my doctor because she said, I would love to try out for Derby. I've always wanted to try out for Derby. Here's your chance, Doc. Try out for Derby. I'll have to remind her. I actually will. I'm going to go to her office and say, the Dr. Corbin wants to do Derby here. Give this to her. Will you see to it that Dr. Corbin gets this? Tell her Nomi Snarks came by. Her patient. She'll know who I am. She'll know who I am because I'm the only person she has who plays Derby. And just tell her recruitment is starting. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see if I can talk her into coming. But anyway, that's been practice. And then next Tuesday, in between, I'm going to be doing a demo with my team. There's some sort of special thing going on in the park next week. And they asked us if we would do a roller derby demo at the Overlook. And so I am part of the demo team. So I'm looking forward to that. And from what I understand, it's going to be full regalia. They haven't posted anything else yet. I imagine we're going to hear it like soon, like this weekend or so. And from what I understand, it's like full jersey, bout makeup if you want it, the whole bit. It's like game day. Get ready for it. Also, we're getting ready to go to Reading. Our last day in the Overlook, I believe, is the 18th. And then they shut the rink down until Friday the 13th. They shut the rink down on August the 19th. And they shut the rink down, and the rink is closed until September 13th, which is a Friday. We do not get back into the rink until the day of our first home team bout. Yeah. Apparently the floor does not change that much, so nobody's really that worried. Because this is normal. And we're supposed to be going to Reading. And we'll be going to Reading 2 days a week, Mondays and Wednesdays. We were told that if it's going to be too much of a hardship, you don't have to come both days or even one day. If you can make arrangements to practice with another league, do so. Well, I contacted the coach from another league. I contacted Roxy on Monday. She's the head coach for Hart. And I told her, hey, I have permission from my coaching to do this. Would it be okay if I do like Wednesday night practice with you guys? And she has not gotten back to me yet. She said she would get back to me and let me know. She'd run it by Peoples, see what they say. There's part of me that's thinking I'll probably get told no. Too many people. There's a few people who don't want you to come back. But then again, maybe they will. I don't know. We'll see. I'm hoping to hear something next week. If I haven't heard anything by midweek, I'm gonna drop her another PM and say, hey, has anything happened? I need to know, because if you guys are gonna say no, I need to make arrangements with another league. It could be weird. It could really be weird. But then again, it could also be a lot of fun. It's a good way to, again, I've already put a lot of the shit that I took with me from Hart behind me. It's done. It would be another way of just closing that door and locking it even more. The fact that I could go back there and practice with them and just I'm a visiting skater. I'm visiting a skater from another league. See how it goes. We'll see. Like I said, if I don't hear anything by midweek, this coming week, I'll drop her a PM and say, hey, any word? Can I show up for these dates? What? What can I say? But I have to make 8 practices a month, and I've already made 2, because they actually counted the last 2 practices, which happened in July, toward August. And part of that is all of us are doing stuff during the Eastbound Throwdown, which is the 23rd through the 25th of this month. So we're getting 2 practice credits added. So technically speaking, I already have 4 practices, and I only need to make 8 for the month. And today, I'm going to be in a game. Yeah, I'm actually going up to Pottsville, Pennsylvania. Schuylkill Valley Scream Queens are they're playing Susquehanna Valley Derby Vixens. And then after that, there's going to be their first Battle of the Freshies. And I'm on Team Black. I will be representing DDR. I'm the only person from DDR going, because I have less than a year experience. There's going to be people there from Keystone that I know. There's going to be people from Susquehanna Valley, and I think a couple of people from Nard are actually going to be there as well. One of my friends who plays for Nard, she's actually going to be there because she doesn't actually live that far away. So she's going to be there. She said she was going to be cheering me on. I was like, yeah, thank you. Crash, bang a cooch. We just call her Crash. Her real name is, you don't need to know what her real name is, because it doesn't matter. It's Derby. Crash. That's what we call her, Crash. So she's going to cheer me on. I cheered her on at her game when she played Hard. I went there and watched, and I cheered her on. I was like, yeah, come on. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm going to leave here about 4. It's going to take an hour to drive up there and watch the first game. Get an idea and a feel for the floor. I already have my poisons on my skates because I looked at their pictures of their floor and it looks slick. And I noticed that in all the pictures of the skaters who skate for the Scream Queens, they all look like they're using 88s, 87s, 91s. So I'm of the opinion, yeah, their floor is a little slick. So I put the 84s on. I'm like, I'm blocking. I just need grip. but I may play pivot because I do have some experience there. And if I play pivot, you know what that means. I could end up jamming at some point. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. I'm looking forward to the game. And I get a practice credit for it. So after today, I will have had 5 practice credits. And after Monday and Wednesday next week, do the math. I'll have 7 practice credits by this coming Wednesday. I'll have 7 practice credits. I will go out to Reading at least once a week, but I told Mayhem, I said, I can't do it both days. It's just financially right now, I can't afford to drive out there. So that's why they had said, if you can make arrangements with another team, go ahead and do that. And I have. I just have to wait to see what they say. So there you go. I'll be in about today. I'll be wearing my orange wig, my DDR colors. Got that orange. I wore a pink wig at Battle of the Freshies, and now I'm going to wear an orange wig at this Battle of the Freshies. I'm really lucky. I get to play in 2 Battle of the Freshies this year. And one of my old teammates from the original Battle of the Freshies, I had done a picture yesterday, and I commented on all my Derby programs, and I said my one regret was I didn't get a program from the Battle of the Freshies in Hagerstown in February. And she says, I've got an extra one. I'll bring it tonight. Because she's going to be there to game. And I was like, oh, thank you. So I will get a program for my first bout ever. I'm going to add that to my collection. So. And here it was. I've rambled on for a minute and 16, a minute and 17 right now. So it's time to go. It's time to say bye. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. So. Talk to you next week. And everybody have a good weekend. I know I'm going to have a good week. I'm going to do my best. Take care. Bye.